Hi guys, happy Monday. As promised, I wanted to upload a quick video debrief on the common errors that I noticed throughout the papers submitted for Module 1. First and foremost, hello, I am Dr. Floyd. It's been great to work with each of you so far this semester. I know this has been quite fast-paced, but so far everyone seems to be doing quite well. This video is primarily an opportunity for me to go through, again, some of those common errors that if you address these specific areas, I think that it will ultimately strengthen your argumentative work and will also ensure that you have a clear, organized structure for any of your papers that you're writing moving forward. So some of the primary common errors that I recognized throughout the submissions were errors in terms of your thesis statement, lack of transitional phrases that connect body paragraphs together, lack of in-text citations, works cited pages, or a sort of accumulation of either or both. And I also saw some areas in need of strengthening as far as conclusions are concerned. So I want to go through just a couple points here to help you as you structure or start thinking about the paper for Module 2. First and foremost, I have uploaded several videos to an announcement on our Brightspace page dealing with how to create a strong thesis statement, also how to create strong body paragraphs that are linked together, and I believe that I've also uploaded a video having to do with shaping introductions. I would highly suggest that you take some time to look through some of those videos, or at least take some time to listen to some of the advice that I provide in those videos. I'm just going to rehash some of it here because it's still applicable. As far as thesis statements are concerned, these should be probably the clearest statement in your entire paper. Thesis statements belong in your introduction after you provide a full background or full introductory, a bit of introductory content for your reader, essentially situating the argument that you're planning to make throughout the remainder of your paper. A thesis statement should contain two parts. It should be both your primary argument and also the main categories of support that you're going to use in order to prove your claim. What I mean by that is if you're writing a paper on something like what we covered in terms of social media and technology, an argument might be something like social media has negatively impacted our culture. That's an argument. If you feel that social media has negatively impacted our culture, you then have to think about in what main ways social media has negatively influenced our culture. Those main ways that you believe it's negatively impacted us would ultimately end up being the body paragraphs that you use to support your claim that social media has negatively impacted our society. When you're writing these body paragraphs to support those claims, you have to make sure to demonstrate that each body paragraph works together in order to support or prove that claim. One of the common errors that I saw across a number of papers was that students were writing body paragraphs that potentially focused on some of these different modes of support for the thesis statement written, but body paragraphs almost read like islands unto themselves. What I mean by that is that each body paragraph focused on one particular topic, but it wasn't at all anchored either to other body paragraphs or to that overarching argument you were making. So if one body paragraph is going to discuss how social media negatively impacts society because it encourages bullying, you want to make sure that you touch on not only how bullying occurs in social media spaces, but how that's specifically negative to our overall societal well-being. When you then move on to your next body paragraph, potentially talking about how social media has impacted our attention span, you have to demonstrate through transitional sentences how something like someone's attention span is just as negative an outcome as is bullying. So how do those two different things work together to ultimately prove that social media has negatively impacted our society? The next common error that I recognized had to do with in-text citations and works cited entries. I have to make sure that this is abundantly clear because moving forward, I'm going to be much stricter about this. For MLA formatted papers, you are required to have 2 points of citation, an in-text citation and a works cited entry. The in-text citation can be as simple as the author's last name and the page number on which content is found. If you do not have a works cited entry and an in-text citation, it is considered plagiarized. For any material that you had to look up, whether it was on the CCBC library homepage, content that we're using within the module, or even a Wikipedia page, that content has to be properly cited, otherwise it's considered plagiarized. Anything that is not common knowledge is considered content that must be properly cited. Common knowledge is something like knowing that George Washington was the first president of the United States. That does not require a citation. But providing something like a statistic on how many teenagers are using technology on a day-to-day basis, that's not common knowledge, and you had to look that up. So it must have some kind of in-text citation and a works cited entry. Again, moving forward, I'm going to be much stricter about this, so please make sure that you have proper in-text citation and a works cited entry. The final area where I noticed some common errors was in the conclusion. The conclusion of your paper is really, I think, just as important as the introduction, where the introduction introduces your reader to the argument that you're going to make. The conclusion really teaches the reader what they're supposed to take from the content they've just engaged with. So the conclusion should do 2 things. So it should summarize the arguments that you made throughout your paper, but then it should also synthesize that material. So not just tell me everything that you discussed in your paper, but take it one step further and give us the so what. So if you can summarize all of these different aspects of technology and social media and how it has negatively impacted our society, that's summarizing all of the things that you've said, but then you take it one step further and you give us the so what. So if we can say that social media has negatively impacted our society, what are we then to do about that? Or what are some paths forward or things for us to consider as we continue engaging with these constantly evolving technologies? So in all, again, I talked a little bit about thesis statements, transitional phrases, body paragraphs, in-text citations, and works cited pages, and also your conclusions. If you have any further questions about my specific comments that I provided to you, please don't hesitate to reach out. But as you move to Module 2, I highly suggest that you consider some of these, again, common errors that I saw throughout the papers and address those specific areas in your next paper that you'll be submitting at the end of Module 2. Thank you.